What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Hope everybody's doing well this evening. Thank you all so much for joining us here for the Tuffy Talk live show. As always, got myself, Blade Smith, Macon Adams, Michael Tracy, and Greg the Leg here. Really appreciate y'all tuning in here with us. Again, definitely, as you can see, there's not really as much smiling faces from the Tuffy Talk team, obviously, and I'm sure even for you, Wolfpack Nation, as well. Obviously, a tough loss this weekend, 24-9 loss against number 18 Syracuse. We'll definitely be talking a ton about that today, as I know that is definitely one of the things that I just couldn't stop thinking about, was really just talking about getting answers to questions. I think that's really one of the biggest things that we want to kind of discuss, see if we can come to some conclusions. What are some ways that NC State football can get back on track, and what are some of the things that they really need to focus on this bye week, so that way we can make the best of this season. But with that being said, first thing we got to remind you, definitely first and foremost, if you haven't already, again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, as we got some banger of episodes coming up here in the next week or two that you will not want to miss out on. I'm telling you that right now. Can't do any spoilers, but I'm just telling you, you don't want to miss out on them. So to make sure you do not miss out on them, again, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. And if you're a diehard NC State fan just like us, if you wouldn't mind doing us a big favor and hit that like button, we'd really appreciate it. And also give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now, on Twitter, Instagram. But also, too, again, if you're here with us for the first time, as always, just like Connor, give us a what's up. Let us know what's going on. Let us know how you're feeling right now. We'll kind of go from there. And also, any questions that you have, any comments that you have, make sure to put those in the comments as well. But again, I want to start this off, first of all, by answering one question, and which I wanted to kind of set the stage here with, and then we'll kind of talk more about it. So without giving any details or anything like that, just by a show of hands, without any other answers per se, are you in a position right now, and also too, for those who are tuning in with us right now, put a Y in the comments or an N if you're saying so, yes or no. Do you feel that this game has affected your thoughts of Dave Doran as the future head coach of NC State football? If you say yes, raise your hand. If no, okay. Yeah. Just wanted to make sure. So, well, again, so I just wanted to see, and let us know in the comments what you think as well. But, I just wanted to kind of make sure that was clear first, because I think that for most of us, there was a lot of people saying, like, Boneyard podcast saying people are calling for Dave Doran's head and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, I don't think this is calling for Dave Doran's head. I think this is just more of a frustration of the situation. Obviously, some things need to change. Obviously, you're not going to change in mid-season, but go ahead.
I mean, yeah, after any loss, there's always people that want to get rid of a coach.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, yeah. I don't think there's any I don't think any one game would ever determine a coach's future.
Yeah. And for those listening too, I want to make it clear that nobody raised their hand. That nobody's calling.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Greg.
I think there's questions. I mean, obviously, right?
Sure.
It's just another one of those. I think we did it in one of our chats. It's like, why can't State have nice stuff, right? And so is it just bad luck? Is it coaching? Is it just a multitude of things? I don't know, but I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, it's you have to lay out what your expectation is of this program, and so that expectation will then drive the narrative or the storyline on what you think of your head coach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Macon, what are your initial thoughts, my man?
Well, first I want to cry. No, I'm kidding.
No, I already did it.
No, I'm kidding. It's not. It's. I think your question was, has it affected your thought on David Doran as a coach?
Coach.
I mean, he didn't have a starting quarterback, and he didn't have his starting running back. He had Demi Sumo wasn't in the game. Devin Carter, I don't think he played the game. Then there's a bunch of guys who got hurt during the game. I kind of take the guys who hurt during the game a little out. That kind of is part of the game, but the pregame stuff, not having your quarterback and one of your better receivers, I don't know if you could argue that anymore. But and your better running back, one of your better running backs, it's when your offense is struggling, it's kind of, well, you can kind of point to you have one of your top receiving weapons, your top running back weapons, and your top quarterback is not playing. That's kind of hard to win any sort of game. And I think it's interesting because people this week are all about Tim Beck sucks, essentially. And the season, they've kind of all been about that. But weren't we last season saying this was really great, and it's just kind of like been a bad season. So it's just, I think there's questions for sure. Fair to say, but I think it's very funny to me how we're be like, oh, this is great, 35 touchdowns for Devin Leary in a season, and we went almost 10 wins, and we were going to smoke UCLA, and this year it's like, Tim Beck's got to go. He sucks. I mean, I get he has questions, but I don't look at it as like, did we just forget where we were? Obviously, it's about moving forward and where we are now. I get that, but I just thought we looked like a team. And it just blows my mind how we cannot move the ball. And I will say this too. I don't even know if it's moving the ball so much as it is we were in the red zone.
Yeah.
And we just couldn't score. So who is that attributed to? I think it's for everything. I think some of it's play calling. I think some of it is receivers. Some of it is the players you have in the game. Like you have a quarterback and what's his face? Jack Chambers. Who is I thought he did some really nice things. He did some good things. He did some things where you show that he couldn't do it, but he wasn't asked to throw the ball a lot early. So when you're in a position like you want to go win the game, what do you have to lose? Just go and surprise people. And maybe now we don't see Jack Chambers every day. Maybe he just can't do that very well, but I don't know. I just thought it was weird. They brought in, MJ Morris for a drive and then took him out the rest of the game. It's like, well, what was the point of that? And it was just very disappointing that the season's seeming to I don't want to say come off the rails because there's a whole lot of season left, but it's just like we can't have nice. Why does this always seem to happen to us?
Yeah. But I also think you can say we're at a crossroads right now.
Oh, easily.
And this can go one way or the other.
Yes.
So it's about the players wanting, now you have to dig deep and find out, what you're really made of, that mental fortitude.
We had this conversation. I brought the point about 3 weeks ago. We were saying, everybody was really hyped on State. And I said, well, guys, look, we could legit lose all 3 of these games. And we didn't. We only won. We lost 2. And granted, you lose your starting quarterback halfway through one of them. You still find a way to win. But now you've lost the third game, the second game. Third game of that series, that stretch there. I said, we could totally have a different perspective on NC State football, and we are. I mean, this is totally different now. Losing the quarterback, you have to change your perspective on the season. You can't go and say we're going to a New Year's Six bowl anymore. I just can't say that. I don't think you can shoot for it, and that could be a goal. But a lot of things now have to happen for you to even have a shot in the ACC title. So I don't think that's a thing anymore. It's just part of it.
No, it's too many tiebreakers. You're done with the ACC.
Yeah. No, as much as it's a blow for sure. One thing real quick, I wanted to go ahead, Connor. So with the MJ Morris question is that, so we are still, MJ Morris still has the red shirt. Now, again, the key is about, are you burning it? And obviously all signs and all hopes that we don't have to burn it. But, especially too, because we were I know Michael Kinsey and I were talking during the watch party. And one of the biggest things is that, again, at the end of the day, MJ Morris is fresh out of high school. He's still only a couple months out of high school. There's a big transition between high school and college. And at the end of the day, unless you're Trevor Lawrence, unless you're, Johnny Manziel, unless you're just a generational talent, it's going to take time to adjust, especially as a quarterback, because quarterback in college is a whole lot. Playbooks are a lot more complex. Defenses are a lot more complex. The pressure is a lot more. Again, it's a whole different ball game. And so at the end of the day, the frustration for me, honestly, especially when I watch the second half, because again, second half, Jack Chambers to me looks solid. He wasn't blowing you away per se, but when he started to air the ball out, it was there. He didn't even turn the ball over. He didn't throw one pick. He was working way down the fields. Now, again, I know we were talking a little bit about the red zone, but watching him the second half, it just boggled me, because obviously we got Jack Chambers for one reason only, and that is if Leary goes down, that we still have a guy who can be the guy, so that way we're not having to rely on MJ Morris or Ben Finley. And so why? Basically, because it seemed like obviously the game plan was we're going to split touches between Jack Chambers and MJ Morris, which is like, well, hold on a second. We haven't even give Jack Chambers even a fair shake yet. Like, what if he is, capable of doing it? Like, why do we even have to even risk, seeing what's going on? Because then day two, like, I know we're going to talk a little bit about stats here per se, but it just seemed the most conservative approach in terms of we were running plays very slowly. We were doing a lot of, again, screenplays, shocker, mind blown, and a lot of running the ball. Again, I mean, obviously got to give a hats off to Jordan Houston, who did solid, but also too, where was Delbert Mims? Like DeMarcus Jones ran a lot, but so where was Delbert Mims, who looked really good against Florida State? And then why was Devin Carter on the sidelines in pads, but didn't play a single down? What happened to Demi Sumo, who all of a sudden, who after the post game last week was said he's fine, but then all of a sudden right before the game they said, oh, he's out. And it's like, so again, it's just like, what were we thinking heading into this game in terms of strategy, in terms of game plan, but then also too, like, just what's going on right now? What is the truth right now? That's what I'm really the most concerned about is what's going on. And because again, I mean, and I'm kind of going over a bunch of things, but one of the things honestly was the most struggling thing for me was it seemed like there was a lot of tension between players on that field. There was a lot of yelling and screaming and pointing, of players. Like, it just doesn't seem like a very cohesive unit on that field right now. And that's the most troubling thing for me, because one of the biggest things I feel like we've really pushed on is this is a leadership driven team. Guys like Peyton Wilson, guys like Devin Leary, Grant Gibson, Isaiah Moore, Drake Thomas, Thayer Thomas. Like, there's a lot of leaders on this team, but it just seemed like that when the going got tough, it was more, it didn't look like a cohesive unit out there. But Kens, I know you haven't had a chance to jump in yet, so give us your thoughts.
That game was hard to watch. I'm gonna be completely honest.
It was tough, yeah.
But I also feel like people are thinking that we were gonna come out and be the same team that we were before Devin Leary with Jack Chambers, and we all knew that wasn't gonna happen. And I feel like a lot of the tension came from, hey, we all came back for all the same reason, and now we have to work even harder. Like, we've been kicking our own butts in practice all this time, and then one of our big leaders gets taken out before the season's even over. So I feel like there's just a lot of frustration going on, honestly. But something that I don't think helped that was, it reminded me, and I said this on the watch party, a lot of the 2019-2020 season whenever they would switch out Devin Leary and Bailey Hawkman. Like, we saw that never worked. So I don't understand why. Because, I mean, once you finally get a connection with Devin, they would take him out and put Bailey in. And that's the same thing that they're doing with Jack and MJ. So I think they need to focus on one quarterback, figure out what works with that, and get something done that works in this bye week, because I don't want to lose another game.
Yeah.
I still want that New Year's Six Bowl. So we got to step it up.
Yeah. But go ahead. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, I just want to bring a little perspective to it that, yes, that was a disappointing loss. We're still 5-2. Both losses are to top 20 teams on the road. We lost our QB. We said 4 of our other top 5 offensive players either ended up getting hurt or didn't play, with Sumo, Carter, and Trent Penix. We're still missing him, and then Zavala went out in the first quarter. So, I mean,
the season's not over. Not over.
It seems like we're talking like it's over, but
there's a ton of questions. There's a ton of questions.
And the bye week is perfect timing too, right?
The bye week was a blessing for it to be right now, because I feel like now
I think it would have been better if we had it the week before and then played Syracuse.
Well, yeah, but I feel like this gave them a reality.
Not now, Michael.
Right.
Yeah.
Michael, you want to kick my dog while you're at it? Good grief.
But so I do want to go to a couple of comments here, because we got a bunch coming in. So Ronnie says, I think this season does show us that our ceiling is 9 wins and no titles. Again, that's for the ceiling for the program. No, at the end of the day, because it's all about at the end of the day, we can't settle. We are here to win an AC championship. Doran came here 1 pack 1 goal to win an AC championship. So if that truly is our ceiling, then that's not what, from what Doran's saying, that's not what he's wanting. So I don't think there's much really to that. But I understand that what you're saying is that up until this point, that has been our ceiling. So I get that part, but to say that's the ceiling of the program, I don't see any justification in that. Anybody have anything to add to that?
No, but it go ahead, Michael.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I don't think it's the ceiling. I think if you're consistently 9-3, one of those years you're gonna break through and get that 10 wins, get that division. Well, I guess divisions are going away, so that makes it a little bit easier. But so yeah, I think that makes a better argument. If you're consistently 9-3, you're gonna have a shot to play in the new championship game without division.
Is that what you were? I kind of zoned out. Was that what you were talking about? The Joe Giglio shot at Joe? Were you talking about that earlier? Were you just now? Because he was talking about
around the same idea.
The hint was around that same concept.
It's basically like, oh well, he was saying if State loses to Wake Forest, things will get really where it was toxic, and I was like,
I don't agree with that.
I don't agree with that either. I feel like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I was thinking like, they were saying the general consensus from the fans, which actually is probably true, is, hey, thanks, Doran. You've been really great for us and made us consistent, but it's probably time for us to move along. And I'm thinking, if we're consistently 9-3, like, I mean, you're going to always be right there in the conversation. Like, I would not want to be like, let me ask you this. Would you rather be a Syracuse? Would you rather be that? Because they've had the 10-11 win season, and then they've had so many other seasons that are like 3 4 wins, 2 wins. It's like, I don't want that. I mean, they've kind of fell into like an abysmal spot. So, but that's just my thought on that.
It goes back to what I just said 10 minutes ago. It's about your perception of where you should be and what you think your program should be and where it should, the range that it should fall in. Is it unreasonable to think that we can win 10 games regularly? No, I don't think. I mean, we've been on the cusp for the last 4 or 5 years where we've had 3 or 4 9-win seasons. And like you said, Michael, if the ball bounces one way or the other, you're at 10 and 11. Like we were 4 points away from 11 wins last year, and probably would have gotten 12 at the bowl game.
Right. So, and
not conceivable.
You had the same OC last year, so it's like the same OC this year. I mean, I get we got to talk about what's happening now versus what happened in the past, but it's the same guy. It's just, to me points a little bit more to, at times, players executing plays. You could totally argue there's so many conservative calls out there. You're playing not to lose. You're not playing to just go and win the game when your back's to the wall. So there's just that. I totally get that. But if guys aren't making plays and catching passes, and quarterbacks aren't hitting players in the hands, and heck, even defense isn't making tackles. Peyton Wilson hasn't played his best defense in the last few weeks. He's missed a lot of tackles. I'm picking on him right there.
Yeah.
And they all did on Saturday.
And I think it's Saints 919, which is I think it's my cousin Casey. He was saying, "Where's Devin Carter?" He's not showing up at all either. So it's like
he has a hamstring injury.
Well, that's interesting to know there too. They have. It's just a lot of players are not stepping up. Like Thayer Thomas can't do it all by himself. Thayer
Thomas dropped the touchdown yesterday too.
Grant Gibson at every game has his token false start call. I mean, it just really bothers me.
See, that's why I'm saying, and because people are saying like that's coaching. That's not coaching.
No,
a pre-snap is mental. 1,000% focus. That's all it is. That's the most frustrating thing to me, is that the guys that are making these bad mistakes are the guys that we truly relied on. I mean, Tanner Ingalls, the Peyton Wilsons. How many missed tackles did they have yesterday? Not yesterday, Saturday. Like Grant Gibson, just is not playing well at all this season compared to what we expect him to play. I mean, this guy was a borderline All-American, and he's so.
Yeah, I just think the one that comes back to is, I feel like the argument of State's offense is not moving downfield. I don't think that's true from what last game was. We moved the ball downfield. We were in the red zone like 3 times, and we just could not score. Well, that is a problem. It was
once we committed Jack Chambers, though. That's the thing. Why didn't we commit to Jack Chambers in the get-go?
I mean, it just did not execute. And granted, there could have been better calls. I'm not saying there's not. Like a 2nd and 2 obvious run play. Don't every time run the ball. Just,
I look, the one that we haven't talked about, and I was there, and so it was loud. And I think the game plan was to keep that offense off the field, meaning Syracuse. So I think the goal was to play good defense, play smart offense. Don't turn over the ball. Get yourself in manageable situations. And so that's why you saw what you saw in the first half. And then when we got down in the second half, it's like, okay, now we have to open up the playbook. We can't go and just run the ball, 3 yards in a cloud of AstroTurf. Like it just wasn't going to work.
And I'm curious here because I'm not picking on anyone in particular here, not to me, but I'm asking Ronnie to see if he's got his comments here. Recruiting has to be better. It happens, and then he gets it happens every season. It's on the coaches. I'm just curious if for those fans, like I'm curious if you guys in here too, not just Ronnie or anybody else, but do you think Doran's we asked earlier, and for those who missed the question, do you think Doran's the guy or not based off of one game? And we all we said we didn't raise our hands. We don't think Doran is like our perspective has changed on Doran through one game, but I'm curious, particularly with Ronnie, like if you thought that last season, because I mean, we almost had, as to Greg's point earlier, we were like 4 points away from an 11-win season, and the only difference really was a left tackle and a receiver for the most part. So,
yeah. Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Kenneth. No. Yeah,
first, I want to say thank you in game. I appreciate that message a lot. But I'm going to be the optimistic fan that not many people like on Twitter when I'm about to say. But I've been reading a lot of comments, and it's just like we still have an opportunity to get 10 games.
Yep.
Like people are calling our ceiling 9-3. The season's not over. We've lost 2 games. Right. I mean, like we still have a ton to look forward to in this season. Yes, do we need to get our crap figured out 100%? But do I think this team can do it? Definitely. So, yes, I'm that optimistic fan that always is positive and never negative. But I think that this is the team that can definitely get over that hump and get to what we want, even without Devin Leary at quarterback.
We got 5 games left, 3 very winnable, attainable games, and 2 toss-ups. So those being Wake and Carolina, and 1 you have at home and 1 you have on the road.
And 1's at homecoming too.
Correct. Yep. So, look, 9 wins in a bowl win, that's 10. That's very doable. But there's nothing that you can't. You can still run the table, like you said, and you can still get to 11. Like again, it's going to be tough. Let's be real. Yeah. It's going to be tough.
I didn't mean to laugh there. I didn't mean to laugh. Sorry.
No,
I came out naturally. Sorry.
You're not wrong.
I mean, we can. Yes, we totally can. I'm not going to discredit what you're saying. I can't understand that.
But again, the reason why I'm just so hesitant, and again, because trust me, me and Macon started this whole thing to be the positive guys, and I still am too. But just my biggest worry is that again, I saw things again because it really just comes down to that. There's a lot of issues. There's a lot of questions right now that have to get figured out, such as again, like what are we on offense? Also too defensively, like, can we figure, it out that, we can, be more technically stout, in terms of making the correct tackles, like Tanner Ingle and like even to like injuries, like, what's going on with injuries. That's a big key as well. And also too, just again, it just seems like that there's something going on in the locker room, just from what it seems like on the field. It just didn't seem like that cohesive unit that we're used to. And again, I'm sure a lot of it definitely has a lot to do with obviously the hurt of losing Devin Leary. I completely get that 100%. But it's so I know there's a lot going on, and I'm sure a lot of it too is probably, and one thing we probably maybe haven't thought of as well is that maybe the defense is feeling a lot of pressure right now because they 100%. Know that in order for us to win, the defense has to win. Like literally, Doran said coming out of halftime, we have to get a defensive touchdown. He literally said that. It basically says that he's basically admitting that
believe the offense can get done.
He doesn't believe the offense is going to be able to get it done today. Just
I don't even think the defense has to be perfect. I mean, like
no, but just play how we expect them to.
Syracuse only had 2 possessions in the second half last week, and they scored a touchdown on both of them. If they don't if they get a stop on one of them and we turn one of our field goals into a touchdown, that's a tie game.
Just turn the red zone plays into touchdowns. That's all you need to worry about. I mean, just you're right there. Go score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I think our defense put too much on themselves this Saturday. If that makes sense.
Let me ask this question then.
Expected more out of them than they needed to.
I agree with that. I was going to ask this question here to everybody watching. I'm curious. You're halfway through the season. You're 5-2. Do you already view this as a disappointing season?
No.
Because I'm kind of torn on that. I look at it as like there's so much season left. Like you're not an incompetent team that can't win games, but I feel like people thought, oh well, you lost to Clemson on the road. You feel like if your offense would have just shown up, then you would have won the game. And if Syracuse, if we would have just offense would have shown up, we could have been 7-0, and now we're 5-2, which is still really good. And our quarterback's hurt. Like, do those things play into how people are thinking about the season now? Like, it's done, it's over. Do you think it's like a lot left? Because we're talking here like we and Tuffy Talk are saying there is so much left to play for. We obviously are being somewhat realistic here. Like, this is going to be a tough battle, and we might have to readjust some expectations. But I'm even kind of torn. I'm like, man, I even already kind of feel like this is a disappointment, but I'm already like, but it's 5-2.
Well, again, it goes back to what I said earlier. What are your expectations? And so that drives the narrative of the story line. If your expectation was to win a title in the ACC and potentially compete for a CFP, then yeah, it's a disappointment. If your goal was to get the program's second 10-win season, then no, that's still on the table. So again, it's all about managing expectations.
Right.
I mean, obviously it's a disappointment because Devin Leary's out. Like, we expected this team to stay healthy, or wanted this team to stay healthy and being in the top 5. Like, we expected that from the talent that we have on this team. But I mean, there's nothing disappointing about this season.
Everybody in these comments is like, we suck.
Well, but again,
they call it Misery Monday for a reason.
Right?
Yeah. Just let it out, guys. Let it out. Work it out.
We're here for your therapy.
I'll love them enough for all of them.
Well, hey, that's what we said.
It's called an NC State fan. Leighton called it NC State fan counseling session. So
yeah,
you nailed that one, Leighton.
I know. Yeah. Well, because I need it again. Literally, I left that game literally going, "What did I just watch? Like, what was that?" But
you didn't sit there.
Well, yeah. But. Because here's my thing. First of all, again, the problem, Ken's, the reason why I was kind of wincing at the statement you're saying, like, if we had Leary, is that the problem is that even before Leary, we were still having these questions of what is going on with offense. Like Leary just was not playing up to his potential. And play calling aside, again, it all comes back to I still see it I can still literally watch it in my head, watching Keon Lassane against DC run that 15-yard out that Leary's hit 1,000 times and him overthrow Keon, and that's been kind of the story. It's just like Leary just seems to
Bart,
just
you gotta
be
chill.
off this season. Bart. Yeah, no, again,
look,
awful. No, okay.
He can say what he wants to say.
Yeah,
but here, some things I saw floated out today, and let's talk about it for maybe a minute or two.
Go for it.
Do we think Leary was hurt before that injury? Because that's been floated around that because he was uncharacteristically just different.
I don't. I mean, unless somebody knows something, I don't view it like
I
that
don't
because he got hurt really bad right there. And to me, it's more of like I've listened to some other podcasts, and by the way, a lot of the other guys at those sites, go check them out too. They're really good. But some of them were saying, some of it is like Devin Leary is like he's not taking chances. He's only taking the deep throws if they're like clearly wide open, and it's like. Yeah. Sometimes, like I think the DJ Moore quote he had for the Carolina Panthers like a week or two ago, he was like, "Hey man, a yard is open, half a yard is open, just throw it." And it's like, go take a chance. Like it seems like he's not letting his guys do. And if he does, honestly, he was overthrowing. So if he was hurt, I would imagine he wouldn't be overthrowing. I think he'd be underthrowing.
Just something I saw out there. I didn't think it was true, but just food for fodder.
Well, and because again, at the end of the day, I mean, and Bart, again, I'll say this to you that yes, in terms of what we saw from Leary, in terms of what we know Leary can do, yes, I mean he's not been good at all. But I mean, in terms of like him being just a third party perspective, a terrible quarterback? No, he's not been terrible. I would actually say Clemson. I mean, the only reason we were, even in that game was a lot of it was because of Leary. I mean, you saw a lot of confidence in him. I mean, like there was that 3rd and 19 that was converted to Thayer. It was Leary basically throwing through all the way to his front foot, knowing that I'm about to get T-boned by this defensive lineman about to hit me. Yep. So I love to see that. Again, that was like, that's Devin Leary, baby.
Isn't making that throw. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So my thought too is another little thing is, do you think Devin Leary comes back at this point?
That was the next question I was going to throw out there.
I think he does.
I think he does.
I think he's going to have to.
But hold on. But here's the fun part. Does the coaches want that?
Do the coaches want that?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they? Because how bad the offense looked?
MJ Morris. Look, I'm not comparing the two, but
here's my question: would Devin want that? Does Devin want that? That's my question.
Well, let me finish my thought. And again, I'm comparing apples to oranges here, but you could have a situation where you have like a Russell Wilson, Mike Glennon situation where you've got a really good quarterback, you only get him for 1, and the potential of MJ Morris transferring where you would have him for probably 2 to 3. So what do you do? And that's all I'm saying.
There's no way, because if he wants to come back, there's no way you let him transfer, though. That's the thing, though.
Do you really view MJ Morris in the same light as you did Mike Glennon at the time?
Who was a 5-star All-American?
I'm not. Yeah. I told you apples to oranges.
Apples to oranges.
I'm talking the situation where you have 1 year or you get 2 or 3 years. That's the comparison I'm making.
Well, I
think it's early. It's early.
I say you bring Devin Leary back. There's not many guys who can do what he's done.
Yeah.
MJ Morris hasn't thrown 35 touchdowns yet in the ACC. And I get that was last year, but he's not done that yet. He could maybe, but he's go ahead.
All right. Okay. So now I'll throw a different point out. We brought Tim Beck in after Devin Leary was here. Devin Leary might not be the best quarterback for Tim Beck's situation or offense, but an MJ Morris is.
That's fair.
So wait, say that again. You said Devin Leary. Devin Leary coached with Tim Beck last year. Played with Tim Beck last year.
No, but I'm saying
but he didn't recruit him into a system, right? Yeah,
correct. So Tim Beck has had to work his system around Devin Leary.
Oh well, now I will say this.
Is a quarterback for Beck's system.
I will agree with you on that. You look at he brought in Aaron McLaughlin and he brought in MJ Morris, two like 6'3", 6'4" dual threat quarterbacks. Devin Leary is not that, and I give you that.
Look, I'm just throwing things out there for conversation.
Yeah,
so
no, I like
you do what you want to do with it.
I like the debate. I love these questions.
I agree with Christian's comments.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, Devin is now going to be the Isaiah Moore, what we were talking about on the watch party. Like he's going to be the leader on the sideline, and we're going to see just how much of a leader he actually is. And I think he's definitely going to be in the ear of Jack Chambers during this bye week and being like, look, like this is what we got to do and what we got to fix.
And you could argue this too. Jack Chambers isn't here next year, right? So MJ would be the second string guy, not the third string guy. So that's at least a bump up. If I would say this too. If Devin, look, I said, does Devin Leary want to come back is my question, because think about this. Who is coming back for him? He does. He's not going to probably. I mean, how many years? We'll ask this. No one's really played up to a draftable level, in my opinion, as receivers. But is Devin Carr a senior? Devin Carr is a senior.
I think he has 1 year. He has a year because he has a COVID year.
Thayer Thomas is a senior.
Thayer is definitely gone.
So your best receiver is leaving. Okay, and so you got Chris Tootle coming back. You got Porter Rooks.
Daryl Jones.
You're losing Daryl Jones. You don't have.
You get Trent back.
He's coming back. So your tight ends are coming back.
But you got
Keon Lassane will come back.
You got theoretically you got Rooks coming back.
You got Gray, Anthony Smith.
Yeah, those guys can maybe step up. Gray can maybe step up. I don't know. I just think of it as like
Cedric's killing it.
Who is?
Oh,
Sebro.
Oh yeah.
Kevin Concepcion coming in as Christian Jones coming. I'm just thinking like, would he want to come back? I think Devin's the guy. State has made him what he is to a degree. He's obviously put in the work himself, but he's got a special relationship there. So I think he would come back. I don't think there's really much of a doubt there. But I just don't see him now like we did last year. We thought, oh, he's going to have a big year again, and he's going to be gone. That's not happening. So He
Not
may
foregone at this
leave.
point.
He may leave. I could see it as, okay, let me go and play, like you mentioned a Russell Wilson thing. Let me go play for a LSU.
A fringe contender. Yeah.
Yeah, LSU's not a French contender, but you get what I'm saying. Like it
Yeah.
was Tennessee if Hendon Hooker leaves or whatever. I mean, I'm just pulling names of a hat. I don't really know.
Yep.
I don't think he leaves.
I don't think he does that either. I'm just,
don't
again,
think he
like what
leaves.
Grace said, we're just talking out loud. This is the
Yeah.
counseling session. We're just.
I'm not even gonna manifest that because I want that.
I'm not gonna manifest that.
No.
I like that.
I think
want
Devin
very
comes
bad.
back. I just don't
I
see
love
he's
you.
not done enough to prove that he's a guy. He had his breakout year early. His breakout year was last year, but he could argue to draft scouts, hey, I got injured.
Yeah.
So I
don't
think
know.
he's going to come back and he's going to have to prove, depending on what happens, if he were to come back, he's going to prove it. But I think to MJ Moore's point too, I think I would stick with Devin. I wouldn't go to MJ just like that. I mean, you got a guy on your
Exactly.
potentially can come back who has thrown 35 who tied the NC he set the NC State
He did.
touchdown
That's
record, right?
the
So
he broke
Yeah.
both
He did.
record.
that'd be crazy to say, nah, we don't want you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
We're
Well,
good.
And
Greg, don't
again,
you ever take that ever again.
Mute
Yeah.
his mic now.
Yeah.
It's just interesting.
Total kill.
Yeah. I find this stuff interesting because, and again, these are all what ifs, right? I mean, we know nothing. We're just obviously speculating, just as fans, just having some fun conversation. But I don't know. Personally, they always say you have to re-recruit the players on your team every year. So I think that would be the case where you'd have to have some serious discussions. And not saying
NIL
you
could
make
play a factor.
promises. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So.
Well, and again, it all comes down to how do we bounce back? At the end of the day, we all know the questions again about the injuries, about the defense, about the play calling, about the offensive line, about the receivers, being receivers, and also to even the questions of the locker room. Because again, there's no doubt that Devin Leary doesn't go from throwing 35 touchdowns to being struggle bus at best, just because you lose Emeka Emezi. I mean, there has to be something else going on that we don't know about.
You
There
lose
has
one
to be.
receiver. There's no way that was.
You don't go from 35 to this without
Correct.
something else being going on. So,
Did-
and we don't
did
know what
you-
that is.
Did you just tease something?
No,
That's all I'm saying. No, that's all I'm saying.
Okay. Yeah, no, I'm not. I mean, I'm just saying, just being honest here. Like Emeka Emezi is great. He's argumentative, one of the best wide receivers that State's ever had, for sure. But at the end of the day, losing that doesn't make you go from Devin Leary last year to what he is this year. Simple as that. That's there has to be
UNC
something
and Drake
else.
May will not destroy us. They
We
almost
all-
lost to an unranked Duke.
All I'm
Gosh.
gonna say here is
So
we at
bad.
Tuffy Talk love Emeka Emezi.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Well, no. Again, statistically,
Clearly, we
he's.
don't love Drake May.
Hey,
Thomas make me so mad.
What? And because that's the thing too, is that those are two games, UNC and Wake Forest, that we will have to score points. We will
There's
have
no
to score points.
There's
no
no doubt.
We are not
UNC's
going
the
to
last-
limit them to 21 points or less, guaranteed.
UNC's the last game of the season, so I feel like we'll have our offense. Should have our offense figured out by then.
Should.
And
That's the key, though.
then Wake
Should.
Forest is home. So I mean, people
So hold
can't
on.
really put away this team after what happened this past week. I feel like that's what a lot of them were doing. So y'all chill out.
Kids,
Yeah.
kids, this isn't a slight, but you're the ever beautiful, optimistic, and that's why we love you.
I
Because
loved it.
we
Like,
we
it makes
need
me
it.
so mad.
You-
I don't
you
want to
talk
see
people
Drake
off
May
a
or
ledge.
UNC in these comments. I don't want to see it.
Hold on. I want to take this point to make it. I'm not betting here, but I'm saying you don't think State can hold Wake Forest at 21 points.
Wait, what?
I think I mean, as of right now, from what we've seen, them do against Syracuse, dude, Wake
I'm not
Forest
saying
is
I'm
doing
not
lots of
saying
work
you're
right now.
wrong. I'm just.
I think we can hold Wake Forest under 24.
I think we can.
I think we can do 24 or less on Wake
at
Forest.
homecoming.
24 or less.
to-
I think we can do it. Now the question
don't
is, can we
think
score
so.
I'm not saying they're
24?
going to. I'm not saying they're going. But
Hot take. We're not going to lose a home game this season.
so, hot take. Well, here. Look at this. The
Like, I
most
don't
points we've
believe
given
it.
up. The most points we've given up.
It's warm. I don't want to say it's hot.
warm
It's a little warm.
well,
Go ahead.
some of these fans
The
is kind of
most-
hot because they're saying
most-
we're not going to even go to a bowl game.
Yeah, the most points we've given up is 30 to Clemson, and then it was Syracuse at 24. Beyond that, it was ECU with 20, Florida State 17, Texas Tech 14, UConn 10. So I feel like that'd be almost like a betting line, if you will. So set it at 21.5 is the over under.
I will look. This is what I'm
Or
going to say about
24.5.
that Wake Forest game. I say we hold them to 24 or less, because here's the thing, and Ken's brought it up. We're at home, and our fan base, if we're in the right mindset,
If they need help, we got it. I mean,
it's true.
Me and Greg will go on the field if we have to.
But I will say though, we have lost.
Put my name out there. You keep my name out your mouth, Ken.
Sideline in their ears.
We've lost to Wake Forest in crazy situations in the past, though. So I'm not putting.
We owe them.
I just thought that was a hot take from Layton. I liked it. So,
I mean, I'm just saying. Like how many? Like if we miss tackles and if we get what we get against Syracuse, they're gonna score 30-40 on us. But if we see Florida State second half, then yeah, absolutely we go home to 21 points or less. So
now let me say this too. I don't know if we're going to get to this later. I'm not trying to tease a tweet or anything like that, but State's gotten past the hardest part of the schedule. They've gotten past 3 teams who were ranked. Boom, boom, boom. I mean, Florida State wasn't ranked when we played them, but that was a ranked team the week beforehand. So now you've got to go a bye week and play Virginia Tech at home on a Thursday night, a get right game. Hopefully it should be, which looks actually now much. I mean, I think all these games look tougher with Jack Chambers. Supposedly now you don't have to start a quarterback, but Wake Forest, Boston. So Virginia Tech, Boston College, Louisville. I mean, those are 3 games that I don't know if you're going to be favored in at this point, but you should win this. I think you should be potentially still.
I think so.
3 points, 3-point favorite, something like that, maybe.
Yeah, and that was the point I made earlier. I think out of the last 5 games, 3 we should be favored, if not very close to favored, and then the 2, Wake Forest and Carolina, I expect to be underdogs in both of those games.
Yeah. So again, it just really comes down to me that just unfortunately, and that's why I'm so frustrated. That's why I'm so because I never would have thought that our low would have been this low. Just in terms of.
Come on, you should, because we're NC State.
I know.
It's also not that low. I mean,
but again, play wise, like offensively, I mean, we haven't scored a touchdown in 84 minutes of game time. Who would have thought that? And then defense wise,
touchdowns are overrated.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Chris Dunn's got a
we
leg
also
on
who also would have thought that we'd lose Devin Leary against FSU?
Exactly.
Sure.
It's really rough too on the whole Devin Leary situation. Both his major injuries came on penalties.
Which side note? Was anybody? I mean, we remember brought this point up
so much.
I was shocked when they announced that Devin Leary was out too. I was like, "What?" Because he
my
just came out and said he's fine day to day, whatever.
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Oh yeah,
weird.
that's not right." I was like,
I got 10 text messages. I have horrible reception in Syracuse, and I'm like, "What is everybody talking about?" And then someone sent me a screenshot. I'm like, when did that happen? It was just an hour before kickoff. It was insane.
Yeah. I just think fans need to chill. It's
By the way,
comeback season against Virginia Tech. We got it.
Speaking of fans, Syracuse fans suck.
Right. We all need a bye week.
How so?
Syracuse fans suck?
Greg? How so?
Oh, man. Look, this is only an hour or so show. It would take me an hour just to talk about them.
Thank you, Russell.
The people... yeah.
You've been all over me today.
The people in the parking lot were great to me. They were real friendly. I got to my seats, and they had chairbacks in my seat, and then there wasn't chairbacks in my seats. And then the fans were like, well, this isn't your seat. And it was annoying. And one fan just started cussing at me, and I'm like, bro, this is what we're going to do today? Like, what are we doing in the stands that affects the field? Yeah, it was just bad. His wife told him to shut up, and he didn't listen.
I really hope
wives are the best.
Yeah,
exactly. Well, my wife's done that too, and I usually listen. So, but anyway, it was fun. I'm glad I did it. My goal is to get to every game this year, so that's kind of a bucket list for me. So, it's in the works.
Well, definitely. Again, just keep in mind that just like we said, obviously, hopefully Thursday night, again back in Carter Finley, sold out game. Hopefully that's a get right game, and hopefully it's an electric environment, which we know it will be. Yep, it's sold out. So it should be electric, baby.
Yeah, so it'll be electrical.
And speaking of electrical, got to give a shout out to our sponsors, Darby Electric. Darby Electric is a veteran-owned company, and they specialize in residential work. But that's not all. They also build electric vehicle chargers, do a ton of remodel work, commercial work, and many other types of small projects. Even though the triangle is their primary surface area, they are capable of expanding that boundary. So go check them out at their website, DarbyElectricLLC.com. Find them on Instagram, Facebook, or give them a call at 919-639-0062, which they are available for your call 24 hours a day. So with that being said, we're going to get to some
Can I follow up real quick on that?
Go ahead, please.
Hey, Carter Finley, if you don't get the lights fixed, call Darby Electrical. They'll take care of it for us. Let's go.
We got it.
I'm not leaving my feet again.
Yes.
Darby, yeah, exactly.
Amen.
In game.
We need to call Darby up for sure.
Yeah.
So with that being said, we're going to jump some tweets of the week. So here we go. All right. So our first tweet of the week, obviously got to give, seeing this brings back just, a lot of, feelings and emotions back. Obviously seeing this pop up on all of our phones here, obviously Saturday afternoon, seeing the news of Devin Leary getting pulled out for the rest of the season due to a torn pec muscle that I guess doctors suggested that he get fixed surgically. So first of all, I just really want to just kind of bring this up more just to say, obviously, we've talked a lot about Devin Leary and, the effect of him being out with Jack Chambers and what he did beforehand. But we really haven't said much about, obviously prayers with him, thoughts with him and his family.
Love our
They have to
QB1.
deal with this for sure. Obviously, a tough blow to all of them for sure. So, definitely hoping Devin for a great recovery, and hope to have you back soon. And I hope to, continue to see you in high spirits, definitely supporting this team, as you have as a leader that we expect and know that you can be. So definitely prayers with you, Devin. Go ahead, Greg.
Can we talk about Dr. James Andrews for a second? That dude is 80 years old.
Really?
Yeah. He's been doing this for a long, long time.
Oh,
So he's the best in the business. I know he does a lot of the Cowboys stuff. He's 80. Yeah.
He does, yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he does every big surgery.
Every big
For
surgery.
sports.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that's where Cecil and Cyrus went when they had to have surgery too.
Oh, yeah.
He did-
probably
he
know
did,
that.
That's
Manny-
just where NC State athletics sends their people
Yeah.
whenever we're
He
injured.
did Manny Bates' shoulders, too.
Yeah, he did do Manny's.
Yeah. So anyway, just
Yeah.
just an interesting fact there. So
Now, Wes, I do want to throw in there. You asked the question, how does Endgame 14 Alpha have that Wolfpack logo beside the name? So with that being said, that is a great opportunity here to also plug in here that he actually got that because he is a member of the channel. Again, all you have to do, if you're not a member of the channel already, all you have to do is hit that join button. And for only $1.99 a month, you get access to exclusive Tuffy Talk content, but it's also NC State content. But Tuffy Talk content, including also too that we obviously released to the public part 1 of our interview with NC State's women's basketball 2023 commit Lacey Steele. But part 2, you can't see it publicly. You have to be a member. So in order to see that, in order to see our interviews with Jarkel Joyner, in order to see our interviews, we'll also do some other NC State football recruits. All you have to do is join. You'll get access to those immediately. On top of as well, you get access to our weekly NC State newsletter. You get access to our private Discord channel where you can discuss NC State with all of us here at Tuffy Talk. And also, too, as well, you have 24/7, and you get access to the emojis and also to the badges that you see beside people like Endgame 14 Alpha as well. So make sure again to do that. Again, only $1.99 a month. So with that being said, moving on to the next tweet here. So wanted to kind of point this out. Definitely a crazy stat for sure from Philip Danford, who again does an amazing job with Inside Pack Sports. But really kind of, for those listening, so basically he put together a graph of NC State offensive plays per game minute. And basically it has each game, and then it has a split up for in full game versus first half only. And the craziest stat is that, again, so for the Syracuse game, we ran an average of 1.76 offensive plays per minute, which for those who don't know, that is a snail's pace. That is a snail's pace, not place. Pace. So basically, just like Greg was saying, we really slowed the ball down a ton, and this really just comes back to, again, what are we as an offense? Because last year, again, it was a lot more up tempo, speed. But this year it's way slower, and obviously, I know a lot of it has to do with, again, the fact you lost Devin Leary. You completely get that 100%. But definitely it just still blows my mind to see that, that a 1.76 plays per minute could be beside any of, Tim Beck's offense that we saw last year.
To me, that just looks like we're just even conservative. Like we don't want their offense on the field. The opposing team, we want to run, or to a degree, I think the Syracuse is a little bit skewed because you have a running quarterback. You don't have your number one quarterback. You feel like you have to run the ball a little bit more. I kind of thought that one's a little skewed, but it's part of it. It's like you're scared of their offense, and you feel like you have a play to your strength, I guess, quote unquote strength. So you go run the ball more, which means clocks can run. I don't know. You could still get up the line fast and snap the ball, but
I think to me the telltale will be the next 2 games, right? And so if we're going to see if that Syracuse was just a one-off or that's the beginning of a trend. So
yes.
I would like to see if he continues to do this. I would love to see that graph moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. So and continuing on here again.
Yes, there. Thanks to Casey for joining the membership.
Pew, pew, pew.
Cool. Love it. Appreciate it, Casey. So make sure, again, only $1.99 a month. So join Casey, and again, hey, looking forward to having you join us along. So also too wanted to bring this up as well, and I think it was Michael. Weren't you the one that sent me this tweet?
Yeah.
So so kind of give us your thoughts. Why did this tweet stand out to you? And kind of explain it for those who are listening too.
Yeah. So basically, division started in 2005. From 2005 to 2012, the divisions were somewhat even. It's saying average conference loss for the Atlantic champion was 1.3 per year, and for the Coastal is 1.4. In 2012 to present time, the average loss to win the Atlantic was less than half a game, and Coastal was 1.7. So,
but this also goes to speak to Clemson.
Yeah, right, sure. but that's kind of the point. It's like when you have a national title contender every single year,
plus Florida State used to be in that talk too.
Yeah,
so there was multiple on our side, and the Coastal had who?
And that's what we talked about. We talked about Coastal envisioned Virginia Tech and Miami being those teams, and that never happened.
Which is fair. They just underperformed. Yeah.
So hopefully this changes next year.
Yeah.
So
well, it is changing.
No, but to get to the game is what I was getting at. Like
your hopes and your dreams have come true, Greg. It is changing.
It is.
Yeah.
Wah, wah,
Yes.
wah. No,
So
what I was
just
getting is more the second place team.
Yeah, a loss to Clemson doesn't essentially eliminate you.
Define your season.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True.
And by the way, we still get them every year, so congrats to us.
That's our luck right there, honestly. That's the first team we draw. It's freaking Clemson.
Yeah. No, and the one thing which I want to bring up too as well is, again, it goes back to the questions, in terms of the wide receiver screens, in terms of the pace of play. Like, these are all things that definitely need to be addressed, need to be talked about, need to be figured out. Because one thing too, which I know there was a clear cut angle of it, but basically there was an angle on TV of Doran and Beck not getting into a confrontation, but definitely like we're talking it out. A stern discussion. That's the word. Stern, or that's the same phrase. A stern discussion. And so I'm sure that, over these next 11 days, there's going to be a lot of stern discussions to figure out what are we going to do to set this up for the rest of the season. Simple as that.
I think they should practice every day, in my opinion.
Well, the NCAA won't let them, but I like where your headspace is.
We won't tell anybody.
I agree.
We'll make them practice every day.
No, but and I think it's important that Doran has. It's pretty clear from, like you said, those shots on the sidelines and the press conference that he's not happy with the offense this year.
Exactly.
Like a lot of people like to say, "Oh, Doran is too conservative. He doesn't do anything." But it's clear he's been critical of the way the offense has been ran this year.
Yeah.
Yep. And I threw this message out to the, obviously you guys saw it on the game cast, but the one thing that was different in this game was Beck was back on the sideline, obviously because he has a new quarterback, but the previous 2 or 3 games he had been up in the booth. So that'll be something interesting to see if that continues or if he goes back to the booth for Virginia Tech.
I love Nick Mathis' comment saying, "I feel like after this episode, you 5 should be licensed therapists." Hey, what is the name of that episode?
Fire me.
Hey, and for $1.99, you can have us 24/7. So
hey, there you go.
Whoa, look at that.
Hey, I like that, Greg. I like
I would
it.
get fired.
Yeah.
But I can't afford $2 a month. I'm kidding.
Well, for one less latte, you can.
Oh.
Hey. Ooh, okay. Or one less Howling Cow ice cream at the state fair, you know?
Okay, I'm out.
Ooh.
And for that
Me,
reason,
I was
I'm
gonna
out.
say, that's
Yeah, you crossed the line, buddy. You
For
crossed the
me,
line.
it's probably a couple of Pepsis, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no.
Pepsis.
I know this live stream has not been sponsored by Pepsi so far. So,
But if you want to get in, we're happy to take you.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. But yeah, definitely on Bart. The one thing which I do gotta say is continue to free Jack Chambers again. Just live or die. Let's see what we can do with him, because then it's a win-win. If it works out that he's the best, the best QB that gives us the best opportunity to win the season, then it also means that we also get the opportunity to keep NJ Morris's red shirt. So it's it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Give him opportunity to develop, give him opportunity to learn. So it's a win-win. But now the next thing I wanted to bring up here in terms of tweets of the week, in terms of FBI strength of schedule, I did my best I could,
That
but
hurts.
I know, right? So, but basically, it's a graph where on the x-axis is strength of schedule to date, and then the y-axis is strength of schedule remaining.
Man,
and
I
so,
barely passed math. This is hurting.
Essentially, it's saying if you look at NC State, we
Yeah.
have an easier remaining
We
schedule
do.
than we did
We do.
earlier. Not the
Than we
team who
played.
has the toughest schedule left is Syracuse. Louisville's up there, Clemson's up there, Boston College, Miami, UNC.
How's Clemson up there?
Because they still have Syracuse. So that's
Yeah.
really what's skewing them. And they have
Well,
Notre
this
Dame.
is
They
before
have Notre
last
Dame.
week too. This is
Okay.
before last week too. So
Okay, so they have
So this is
FSU.
going
have
into
FSU.
Florida State.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they have Notre Dame still too. So
Yeah.
but you can
Yep.
take that for
Yeah.
what you want.
yeah.
So I just thought it was
So-
interesting.
Yeah. No. Well, so again, at the end of the day, it's obviously.
I don't know. That
Greg,
hurts.
yeah, those are graphs, man. Yeah, no, it's all good.
I can tie my shoes.
Yeah, hey, bravo. We're so proud. So with that being said, though, yeah, again, it just all comes down to, again, one game at a time, 1 week at a time. Obviously, it's a great chance. And, again, I'm obviously hoping to hear a lot more about what's going on. Because one thing, too, we haven't even talked about yet. Well, two things we haven't talked about yet. First of all, a lot of injuries, definitely you could say, are on the fact that we played on turf. I mean, that's factual. At the end of the day, even my wife, I asked her straight up, I was like, with all these injuries going on, what would you say, is to blame? Would you say it's, Thunder Dan? Would you say it's, what would you say it is? Preparation? And she said, I mean, a lot of it probably has to do with turf, obviously playing on grass, and then for so much of your, your time so far this season and over your in-state tenure, and then going to play on turf. It's a big difference, for sure. It's simple as that. I mean, that's why, you see in NFL, there's a lot of research done about ACL and MCL injuries, on turf compared to grass.
Yeah.
So, and then obviously too, we haven't brought up, the refereeing, which was garbage.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Don't get me started.
we won't
That
talk
was
too much
bad.
about it, but just we can't ignore it. That at the end of the day, the fact that on the the touchdown, which was a blown coverage, we'll admit that
touchdown.
too.
I've
The
learned that I
referee
don't
pulled the
know.
flag out and waved it and said,
Yeah.
"I'm not going to throw it."
I've learned that I don't know what a holding call is.
What was that in reference to? A holding call, I assume? Like,
No, it was illegal.
He was looking
motion,
at something
but,
on the line. Yeah, on the line.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah.
but he put it back in his pocket after he saw the Syracuse guy was going to score. I don't understand how.
Yeah.
But they
By
held
the way,
entire game.
Did you see the clip of the referees during the Florida State versus Clemson game?
yeah. The
Yeah.
He
spot.
goes right up to the line like about a half yard short, and he spots it, and then he does this.
Well, yeah,
kinda
then he
turns his
turns
head,
around
and then
and
he
he
kind of moves over. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's a first down.
Yeah,
I was
yeah,
like,
that
come
was
on.
bad. That was bad.
That
bad.
was obvious.
So
Yeah.
It was so
I
funny.
typically rewatch the game, win or lose, and I didn't get a chance with the travel day yesterday, but the Syracuse fans were losing their mind on the interception. They thought we jumped off sides. Was that a clean?
He
Which one?
jumped. Davin Van jumped, but he jumped sideways.
He
I think
jumped sideways. Yeah, he didn't jump.
And he
across.
stopped
He-
himself.
I don't
Yeah.
think he. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
no,
think it
they
was
were
behind.
absolutely losing
And
their
if they
minds.
were
and I'm like,
blowing their mind about that, they should have been looking at number 60 the entire freaking game. He was
was holding,
holding
yeah.
the entire game.
was bad.
And they can call for it.
yeah.
And then obviously,
offensive
we-
pass
That blew me.
interference. on the on
Yes.
that first touchdown. That was bad too.
Should have been push off. Yeah, but
Terrible.
so again, definitely not make excuses, but just again, we couldn't go and act like that wasn't a problem for sure. That
Yeah,
definitely
it
didn't
plays a
help.
part. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but the
Thank
one
you.
thing which I do want to, the one point which I do want to make though, because this comes back to like, I put out that tweet saying, like, what is the problem with injury side? And because I understand at the end of the day, football is an aggressive sport. You are going to have injuries. It is insurmountable. It is going to happen. But just the reason why I wanted to ask the question, because it seems like every year for the last 4 years, basically since, like specifically last 4 years, since 2019, that injuries has been a key talking point when it comes to the struggles that we've had during the season. Obviously, like for example, last year losing Peyton Wilson, Cyrus Fagan, Isaiah Moore to season-ending injuries, and then this year losing Trent Penix, losing Devin Leary. It's a laundry list of injuries. It seems like every single year. So that's the reason why. Is again, I mean, I'm no doctor. Obviously, like the Devin Leary injury, that wasn't preparation. That was just a fluke. That just, I mean, anytime you go from throwing a football as hard as you can to stopping in a second, you're going to tear your pec. I mean, that's simple as that. But just that's why I wanted to bring it up, just because that is a frustration that just seems like it's a recurring theme. It's like, man, it just doesn't seem like it happens this much where it's a huge talking point. So that's why I wanted to bring it up. But again, there's no way to know, and unfortunately, that's on Doran to figure out. At the end of the day, we love Thunder Dan, no doubt. He does an amazing job of transforming, players and getting them ready. And at the end of the day, it's up to Doran to decide if he feels like, Thunder Dan is doing a great job or not. But we don't know.
I think
clue.
that's a non-starter. That's a non-starter.
What is?
I mean, it's
non-starter?
football. It's football. I
If
mean,
he's
like
doing a good job or
Carolina,
not,
didn't
like-
Carolina last year, 2 years ago, have like all of those
I mean,
injuries, a ton of injuries?
Yeah.
They
I'm
had,
just saying it's a
I can't remember,
question.
like
That's all.
12 guys out, I
Yeah.
thought. And then they had last year's Clemson had Tyler Davis out, Brian Breesy out, Skalski, the linebacker, was out. They had a few guys out. And so, I mean, they've had some injuries this year, I think. Clemson has a little bit. So you
Syracuse
could
was
argue.
banged up too.
Yeah,
Florida State's
I
been
just think
banged
it's
up.
football. I hear you, Leighton, because I think we're just – I wonder if
Yeah.
someone could do a comparison. That would actually be an interesting little stat.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably because we're just State fans and we scrutinize NC State.
100%.
Yeah. Well, again, because I'm not sitting here down whatsoever. It's just at the end of the day, it's just a frustration piece, especially with Syracuse when you saw as many guys like Devin Boykin, Chandler Zavala, Savion Jackson go out. It's like, man, what is it? Like, I'm just tired of hearing that, well, some of the struggles because of injuries, not necessarily saying that it's the main reason or even a secondary reason, but that it is a reason, so, but, at the end of the day too, I will say that, I mean, knock on wood, up until, recently, I mean, we were lucky in terms of injuries, but, obviously that bus has come and gone in terms of being lucky with injuries. So,
I think the bye week will help though. I mean,
oh, for sure.
I don't.
100%.
Well, I just
I
want to
think
figure out
at
what's
this
going on with
point-
Devin Carter. Like, is he
Yeah, I
healthy?
think
Is
at
he
this
not
point-
I
healthy?
think he is. I think he is what he is at this point.
He should be good to play against Virginia Tech, is what I've
Yeah.
heard.
I think it.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I
if
think
it's the
everybody
injury, what you say it is,
accepts-
that's just a lingering thing that just you
Yeah.
can go weeks and
Hamstrings
have
are
a
a
problem and make a turn or a cut and it's right back again. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
one of those things.
Plus, we should have Demi back and Trent. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we're gonna
It
have
just stood out to me watching Terrell Timmons play a good couple
Yeah,
of
that
snaps, a good
was-
couple targets. I was like, man, that's odd. Not necessarily have an issue with
way.
Terrell Timmons, but just like, man, that's with as many wide receivers as we talk about during the season. It's like, man, like Terrell Timmons was just not on that list. Like, not necessarily saying he's bad or whatever, but just he was not on that list. So
Yeah. I mean, the Porter Rooks have dropped off. Daryl Jones, I don't
yeah.
think he had a catch on Saturday. In fact, I don't know if I even saw him out there, to be honest with you.
No.
Yeah, we're getting down on the depth list there at the wide receiver when we thought that might have been more of a strength. So
Well, and especially too, because like the last couple games, where's Julian Gray? Like, where is he? Like, what's going on?
Anthony
like, it
Smith,
just seems like
yeah.
Well, Anthony Smith's like legitimately
I
just
think
been
he's
injured,
been
but
hurt.
Julian Gray,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just like he's just not been used.
I don't know.
But it also comes down to, is he injured? Like, I don't know. So
Right.
again, at the end of the day, hopefully hopefully Virginia Tech, again, that's not going to be a game where it's like, okay, like if we win that game, it's like, okay, we are good, y'all. We are heading back. We are going to run the table, man.
I will
It's like,
definitely be thinking like that easily.
I know you will. I know you will, Kens.
Definitely have my
You
mind
know,
like that.
So, but it's definitely a game where it's like, okay, like, just like Greg was saying at the beginning, like this is a crossroads. Which way are we going? Like if we are on the struggle bus to beat Virginia Tech, or even, God forbid, lose to Virginia Tech, then we're definitely going this direction. But if we, beat them by, 2 or 3 scores, then okay, then
More
that's
optimistic.
solid. We're optimistic here.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so any last thoughts? Again, I mean, it's
Everybody
it's,
take a breath. We're
deep
fine.
breath.
Yeah.
Woosah.
Back this team. See you in the Carter. End of
Inhale,
discussion.
exhale.
I would say, when does basketball season start? But that might just get sideways too.
20
right?
days.
20
20 days, I think is what it is.
20 days.
It is getting
3
close.
weeks.
Yeah. It
Did
is close.
anyone see the first Kim Palm? We came out at 80 or 81st on the Kim
81.
Palm.
81.
81. Yeah.
Yeah.
Soon to be number
Got him
4.
right where we want him, guys.
Right?
Mhm. Yep.
Yep.
And Bart.
Yep.
I like you a lot recently, man. You started to kind of be a little more positive, man. I love it, man. I mean, saying, but then they just saying, hey, listen, man, got to get the offensive footing, 38-17. So I completely agree with you. Like, Virginia
like it.
Tech, we should be.
Bart's back, baby. Bart's back.
Yeah,
I
right.
know, I love it, Bart.
We're gonna have a little talk with Bart after this.
Yeah. Well, and because one other thing as well is, I mean, I can't remember the exact stat, but I mean, I think that we're tied right now for the longest streak of top 25s, for NC State football. So,
We're talking about home
Yeah,
games.
so I
Is that
mean-
what you're talking about?
no.
No, being ranked
the most
13th.
weeks consecutively
ranked.
being ranked in the top 25.
We hit like
Gotcha.
14,
Sorry.
didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, so hey, that's a positive. Just got to bring out the last positives to rock this out here.
Well, and that's the other thing too. So I kind of just mentioned too. I mean, we're on a 14-game home winning streak, right? 13,
Yep.
14,
14.
Yeah, because we can break it this year. We have 3 more. So
It can't be against Virginia Tech. My wife will never pick on me so bad.
All right,
Yes.
so there you go.
For those who don't know, yes, Macon's wife is a Hokie. So,
So
and what is a Hokie? I am a Hokie. So
Yeah, that's the stupidest phrase.
it is. You've not heard that, Greg?
no, I have. I'm just still like,
Oh,
really.
okay, I was gonna say.
That's their.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, that's
My
like
question still stands. What is a hookie?
exactly.
Because they don't
We-
want to say
we-
what a Hokie is.
We
They don't
have
want to say
not.
what a Hokie
We're
is.
talking
We
too
have
much
not
about Virginia
figured
Tech.
that out.
Yeah.
Just
All
not
right,
give them
y'all.
credit. The other ones
Exactly.
they go ho key,
Yeah.
and then they pull out their
Yeah.
stupid keys. It's like so annoying.
Yeah.
So
All right, Greg. Well, with that being said, once again, make sure again, if you haven't already, first of all, like we already said, if you want to get those badges, just like Endgame 14 Alpha has, if you want to get access to exclusive NC State Tuffy Talk content, if you want to get access to our weekly newsletter, our private Discord channel, all you have to do is, again, $1.99 per month. All you have to do is hit that join button. Again, it doesn't cost much at all, and you get so much value there for your dollar. And also, if you haven't already as well, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification so you don't miss out whenever we release any public content, whether it's episodes this week and next 2 weeks that you will not want to miss out on. I'm telling you that right now. And also so that way you don't miss out whenever we do any of our Tuffy Talk live shows, also to our watch parties, things like that. Yeah, Bart, again, you get badges. So if you look at Endgame 14 Alpha's
you
name,
need stinking badges.
you'll see NC State logos, and the longer that you're a part of the channel, the more modern, basically, the more modern the NC State logo goes. So it's
Wait,
pretty cool there, guys. Go ahead.
Yeah, you missed the joke. There was a joke
What's
there. He goes, badges. We don't need no stinking badges. So that was where
Oh.
he was going with that. So I said badges.
Okay.
Yes, you need stinking badges.
Okay.
I'm with you, Bart.
appreciate you
I'm
got that,
old.
Greg.
I'm old, man. I got you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Anyway, with that being said, y'all, again, Thursday night next week, 8 p.m. kickoff, right? 8 p.m. 7:30. 8 p.m.
What are we talking about?
7:30 is Virginia Tech.
7:30 p.m.
7:30
Okay.
Thursday.
Yeah.
7:30 p.m. Carter
Not
Finley
this Thursday,
Stadium.
but not this Thursday.
Not this Thursday, next Thursday. But again, enjoy the bye week. Again, hey, just take a deep breath here. Enjoy the off week
Relax.
for sure. Relax and get to
Recharge.
watch
Keep
some
your heart
college
rate the
football.
same.
Exactly. You get to watch college football and not have to stress. Just
Have a heart attack.
just watch whatever other crazy stuff happens this weekend. And again, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. If you don't mind, hit that like button if you enjoyed this if you enjoyed this live show. And also, too, again, give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now, our Twitter, Instagram. We really appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll see you all soon. We'll see y'all next week, 8 p.m. Tuffy Talk Live Show. We'll see y'all then. Goodbye.